Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to one of the last few episodes of the 2025-2026 season. This is, of course, the NFLA. If you don't know us by now, I'm Calvo, he's Brooksee. Together, we are your Canadian co-hosts that love the shit out of American football.
Hell yeah. Oh, is it on?
Hell yeah.
Forgot it was my line. Hell yeah. We have waited all year, buddy, to see who's going to be in line to win the ship. And with the Super Bowl less than a week away, man, we finally have narrowed it down to the final two. Two teams probably no one expected to be here at this point.
Yeah, I don't think anybody projected these two teams to be the finalists, especially how last year went for the Patriots, right?
Well, I mean, exactly. It's been a crazy year for sure. Most of the big players were out kind of early, out of the running early. Like obviously, Ravens, Colts, Bengals, Lions, Vikings, Buccaneers, Cowboys, teams that are like in the playoffs every year, missing
Mhm.
completely. And even, front runners like most years, like the Bills and Chargers, teams that are here almost every year, Rams, Niners, those are all wild card teams. We got newcomers like the Broncos, the Seahawks who are relevant again. The Bears came out of nowhere to be relevant again to get the 2 seed in the NFC. The Jags, who are almost never a playoff team, get the 3 seed with the 13-4 record, right? So it's been a lot of turnover, but it's been awesome for the year, for the league, for this entire NFL season, I think.
Yeah, you're right. This is kind of one of the crazy years I think we've witnessed over the last decade or so.
Yeah.
Lots of upsets, surprise teams, and a year of growth and disappointment for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So, isn't it fitting that we get a Super Bowl rematch from 2015 as we move out of 2025 and kind of close that decade and move into 2026?
Yeah, it's weird, but that's absolutely right. Rematch of Super Bowl 49, I believe, when Russell Wilson
Mhm.
was infamously picked off to end the game at the goal line. Hand the ball to Marshawn. Anyway, yeah, it handed the Patriots another Super Bowl victory with Tom Brady at the helm. They won that game 28-24 over the Seahawks. That was Tom's fourth ring and his third Super Bowl MVP. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The play that everyone knew it was going to Marshawn Lynch,
Give the ball to
except
Marshawn.
for Wilson and Carroll, who
Exactly.
decided to throw the ball instead. Smart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one everyone's aware of that one. It's almost as infamous as the Atlanta Falcons 28-3 lead that they blew to the same
Yeah.
Patriots. But yeah, hopefully history doesn't repeat itself here.
The Pats can't keep getting away with this, though, can they? Like, first Tom,
Yeah.
and now Drake. Like, so glad we got, like, what, 4 years of not seeing the Pats relevant?
I feel like Jesse Pinkman. He can't
Great.
keep getting away with this.
I know, right?
It was nice to see the Pats not be relevant for a little bit after Tom Brady left there, but they're relevant again. But they're really not that hard to beat when you get to this stage. Hell, the Eagles did it with a backup there a few years back, so it's really not
Oh,
that
boy.
hard.
Any shameless plug you can have, eh, with the
Absolutely.
Eagles?
Absolutely.
What a guy. Not even relevant, and he's talking about the Eagles. But, well, I think you might be right, though. It could be a much different story this year. That Seahawks team is a wagon. So,
Are they ever? And for those of you out there listening, most of you are football fans. You know what the deal is. But for those of you who have not figured it out by now, you're just not paying attention. But the Super Bowl, it awaits, and we've got the 14-3 Patriots versus the 14-3 Seahawks, two of the three teams that finished with the best record in the league this year. So two pretty deserving teams have made it to the dance, and that's usually the way these things work out. But yeah, we got a showdown here of epic proportions, man. And before we talk about that matchup, though, we got to discuss how we ended up here in the first place.
yeah, whoa, fella. Before we get there, though, tell the good people why you look severely less pasty than usual.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I went on a cruise. I had a great time. I did get a bit of a tan. I am going to take a quick sec though, first, right off the top, to wish for a happy and a mindful Black History Month. Officially, the 100th anniversary of Black History Month. The first 50 years, it was just a week they celebrated. Now it's the full month of February, and now is as good a time as any to read and learn and grow and honor Black brilliance and resilience across generations, as well as recognize the great people and the wonderful things that have come from the community, despite never having a fair and equal seat, in my opinion, at Western society's table. Racism is weakness. Honestly, out there, anyone out there, if you don't agree, racism is weakness. It's insecurity. It's people projecting their own inadequacies as if the pigment of their skin or anyone else's, for that matter, has anything to do with it. Not liking someone or thinking you're better than someone based on the amount of melanin in their skin. Really, that's all that separates us. Says everything about you and nothing about them. Now, I know none of the fine Bralvonians out there are shitty people in this regard. But just in case anyone else comes across our crappy little podcast and wonders where we stand, feel free to see yourselves out if you don't agree with the facts as I've stated them. Okay, bye-bye now. For those of you still here, yes, I did just get back from my Emo's Not Dead cruise. I did get a bit of a tan, like I said. Truth be told, a little more melanin in my skin. I look better. Let's be serious. Um, but yeah, I had the one of the best weeks of my life. The best part about it was no internet access and very little contact with the outside world. So it was a nice break from all the scary, depressing, and downright disgusting shit we're seeing on the news every day. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, as much as we're inundated with this shit, and as much as you want to stay informed and aware, we also need a break from it. We need time to decompress, find a little bit of joy in life. It's harder to find
Hmm.
nowadays. So I'm glad I was able to do that on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean for 4 days. But I will say, as Canadians, it's sometimes fair to wonder if we deserve to weigh in on American matters. But we talk American football, so why not? And I'm really not a political guy anyway. I don't really feel this is political, but I will say, purely from a human rights standpoint, I'm talking honest to goodness human decency. Fuck Trump, fuck ICE, and fuck the current administration that is inflicting untold amounts of pain and hardship on its own fucking people every single day. There's so much more I could say, but this is a football podcast, so I'll leave it at that. You know where we stand. If you disagree, you lack empathy and are just a straight up bad person. So, am I wrong, brother?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, a lot of valid points, but I'm not going to lie to you. You lost me when you said reading. I'm out. Don't do
Well,
that.
you can watch stuff then. Oh, well, you
Yeah,
can just
okay,
watch.
sure. I like pictures. Pictures tell a much better story to me than words. But yeah, it's a shame that we still have to talk about these things in 2026. And
Right.
while yes, we're not a political podcast, I don't think we've ever shied away of bringing up what's important to us. And yeah, just don't be a shitty person. It's
Appreciate you for saying
pretty
that.
simple.
Right? Sweet. Okay, so the cruise, buddy. Just quickly, like Cole's notes here, under oath on the pool deck to kick us off. As soon as we pulled away from the dock, rain starts to fall. It's like a light mist, like a light rain, just perfect. It's hot, but you got this rain coming down to kind of keep you cool. Under oath, fucking destroyed. And then the used right after. Saw Census fail that night too. Census failed again the next morning. Saw Silverstein and Hawthorne Heights in the afternoon. Dance Gavin Dance that night. Mexico on day three, massage on the beach, and then got to lounge on the beach, literally 2 steps from the ocean, splash around in the warm water for a bit. We had our food and drinks brought to us the whole time. It was fantastic. Got back in the boat immediately treated to banging sets by Story of the Year in the afternoon, kind of as we pulled away from shore again. So you got the afternoon sun and then the U's just after dark. Fucking unbelievable set by Under Oath again that night later on. Day four, bit of a quieter, more relaxing day until we got to the evening. We got a lot of sun the day prior, so a bit of a relaxing start. We got to the evening, the used for a third time on that fourth day, right at sunset. So we're out on the pool deck, the sun's setting. We got the used, just banger after banger. And Berlin later on that night, and then Dance Gavin Dance late to cap off the cruise one last time. So immaculate vibes throughout, buddy. Every night was a different theme too, so we had costumes or outfits for each one. So many fun activities to do when you weren't watching a concert, and just an amazing time spent with a wonderful friend of mine, as well as some new friendships forged while kind of screaming lyrics at each other's faces. So that's how I like to make friends. So can't wait to do it again next year, and I hope you'll be able to join me on it one day too, there, man.
No, well, I'm super jealous. It sounds like a pretty epic time, and I won't lie, I'm
Yeah.
pretty salty you didn't even invite me in the first place. Now you're just gonna give me a pity invite. What is this?
I mean, what a coincidence, though, right? Because I'm salty, but from the ocean water and all the sea breeze hitting me on the deck of the cruise ship. So I was basking in last week. So that's why I'm salty.
Rude. Well, anyways, I didn't actually care. I just wanted you to feel good for a
Oh,
minute.
thanks. I appreciate
So,
it.
can we talk about football now?
I guess, yeah, we should actually talk about the thing that the show was about, right? Well, that's why we're here. So,
Yeah.
while it was hot and sunny where I was while these games were taking place, it was a bit of a different story in Denver, buddy. What do we got?
I'd say about probably 30 degrees difference and a lot of snow. And
Whew.
if you watch this game, it's pretty easy to say that the weather severely impacted this game.
Yeah,
Both teams struggled to get anything going, and we kind of figured that this might be the case anyways. Two really good defenses, even though the offenses are pretty steady. Hard to throw in the heavy snow mixed with the stout defenses and expect there to be a ton of points scored. So with that being said, it felt like every play, every opportunity mattered. And what was kind of a theme this year, especially in the playoffs, were teams going for it on fourth down instead of taking the points. Exact same thing happened in Denver, and Sean Payton opted to go for it on fourth down instead of kicking the field goal.
Right.
Well, that proved costly as Denver did not score again, and they lost by 3 points.
It was kind of a weird game in the sense that like Denver had no problem scoring off the hop. Their very first possession, they went down and they scored a touchdown, eh? With like in the first 5 minutes, and
Yep.
then yeah, didn't score another point after that. So the analytics suggest going for it more often than not on fourth down. So a lot of teams are
Yep.
going a little bit, I guess, riskier, ballsier with it, and choosing to try and keep the ball in their possession. And I get it, but sometimes, yeah, in games like
Yeah.
this, man, with two stout defenses, it's the playoffs, it's the championship game. Take the points where you can get them, kick a field goal, right here and there.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're right. They went down, scored right away, and it's like, man, is Jared Stidham actually that guy? Is he going to be the next Nick Foles that everybody talks about?
right,
Unfortunately, he doesn't really have a name that rhymes and sound like, something else. But yeah, it's you have to feel for Broncos fans, right? And maybe we'll get our buddy Griff on the podcast maybe next week or the week after if we can line up some stuff. But you had Bo Nix all year, and then of course, second last play of the game hurts himself the week before. And this is the biggest moment in Broncos history for the last, 10, 15 years, right? And now you don't have your best player, your quarterback, and it kind of showed, right? Well, Stidham started off great. He went 17 for 31, had 133 passing yards in that snow,
hmm
had a passing touchdown, like we said, right off the hop, but then he also had an interception. He fumbled the ball and felt like he was running a little bit this game too. He got sacked 3 times and had to rush for 23 yards. So not the best, but not the worst showing either. And I mean, what more can you ask for out of your backup quarterback that's rode the bench for basically 3 years?
that's it. He wasn't bad, but he is definitely no Big Dick Nick. That's for sure.
No,
He is not Nick Foles. So um,
right.
yeah, can only do so much, and especially when the snow starts coming down, you're already facing a tough defense, and then the snow just makes things so much worse. But I mean, honestly, I kind of thought that Jarrett Stidham outplayed Drake May. Like May's stat line awful in this one. Less than half of his passes were completed. He didn't even throw for 100 yards. Didn't
Yeah.
throw for any touchdowns. I mean, the only way he was able to score was on the ground when basically Denver gifted them a touchdown, right? They fumbled it in the shadow of their own goalpost and gave New England the ball in the second quarter with, I think, on their own 12. So New England had to go 12 yards for that score, and Drake May ran it in himself. But other than that, yeah, he didn't do a ton. But this was that typical defensive battle that we kind of thought that we see. Maybe not quite this low scoring, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's kind of one of those things that we kind of debated all year, right? Is Denver actually really this good, or are they just riding a really good defense?
yeah,
And I think we proved our point, right? If they were riding that really good defense, and even just switching out Bo Nix for Stidham wasn't enough. Even though you held the Patriots to 10 points, like May is in the talk for MVP talks, and you held them to 100 under 100 yards passing. And if yeah, the only score they got was him rushing it in. And you got to him 5 times, sacked him. Like he was on the run pretty much all game. So, like I said, I feel for the Denver Broncos, a fluke injury coupled with that terrible weather.
mhm.
And that one not going for it for the field goal may have changed that whole game, right? So that's the way she goes. That's the way she goes. But
It is the way she goes. I almost wonder, and I probably should have looked it up ahead of time. I have to wonder if that's the worst stat line by a winning quarterback in a championship game in history, because it was like any other game you see a stat line that like that out of a quarterback, and that team lost by a lot of points. Like that's
right.
just atrocious. But obviously didn't need to be great. Defense did enough, and like I'm just concerned. I'm concerned about this Super Bowl not being very entertaining. We'll talk about it more after, but I'm New England hasn't done much at all this entire playoffs to impress me. So
It's going to be interesting. I mean, hopefully it's not a repeat of last year where one team just getting the doors blown off them, right? But what I found what that was interesting in this game is it wasn't like the big guys that you would expect to have those big games, right? Like Marvin Mims led the
yeah,
Broncos for receiving. And like to me, his usage is so weird. Like he was he was not like one of the top talents coming out of college when he got drafted, but he had this big playability and he's flashed it so much over the last 3 years, but they never seem to use him in a consistent basis all year long. He's boom or bust. And
Yeah.
as soon as the playoffs hit, I feel like he's always their leading receiver, always has this big play downfield. And it's like, when are you can start using this guy a little bit more? So maybe that's a sign of a breakout year next year. And then if you look on the flip side of it, you think, okay, well, they've got Hunter Henry, they've got Stephon Diggs. Well, guess what? They got Mac Hollins, who scored had 51 out of the 86 yards that Drake May threw on 2 catches. So,
Yeah.
he led the team by far. Like Diggs and Booty, they were virtually non-existent in this game, and Henry only had 2 catches on 3 targets. So, like, not a lot of passing options, obviously, with all the heavy snowfall. But luckily, Ramondre Stevenson had a pretty solid game for the Pats, and that's what kind of made the ball roll for them. So.
It was kind of wild to see Drake May complete 10 passes. Half of them went to Stephon Diggs. So 5 catches, but he only had 17 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. 2 catches by Mac Hollins, but yeah, 51 yards. One of them went for 31. That was a beauty. But yeah, you're right. The run game was fairly non-existent for the Broncos. Harvey had 37 yards on the ground. The next highest was Stidham,
Mhm.
23 yards on 4, I guess, scrambles, rushes. I don't remember if any of them were designed runs, but yeah, I mean, when your quarterback is your second leading rusher, yeah, you got problems. So
Right.
it's in a game where the weather is kind of impactful, not to be able to run the ball with a backup QB in. I think that's kind of what cost the Broncos.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Broncos then. So what's next for them then? Like, obviously, Super Bowl was probably a lofty goal for a team that just squeaked into the playoffs last year, right?
Yep.
Obviously took a big step this year. So what do they have to do to get back there next year and keep this competitive team in check?
Well, obviously, Bo Nix is probably the biggest question mark is if he's going to come back healthy and 100% able to do all the things that he could do before this injury, right? So that's going to be the biggest question mark for them. But in addition to that, I think what kind of goes hand in hand with keeping your quarterback healthy is upgrading your offensive line and making sure that you're protecting him adequately, right? So there's a couple things for me. I think going to keep Denver in the mix if they can, get positive news on both those fronts. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think the main focus has to be on the offense. And I do think they need another running back. And, when they did have J.K. Dobbins and Harvey going at the same time, it looked pretty formidable. As soon as Dobbins went down and Harvey had to step into the lead role, clearly he's a rookie, right? There's some growing pains. He had a very good year. Like, let's not discount what he did, right? But I think they need another pretty decent running back to
Yeah,
make that team go. And then I think outside of that, I don't think they really need that much else. Like their D line's great. Maybe another linebacker.
yeah.
Even safety's not terrible, right? Or the secondary itself. But yeah, maybe linebacker would be another area of need for them. But I would say they're not that far off from being a perennial contender.
No, they had a great year. They obviously did benefit from a little bit of a softer schedule,
Yeah.
but they earned the right to make it to the AFC Championship game, and yeah, I don't think they're far from remaining a contender. Yeah, you're right. They're still going to be up there for years to come. We're kind of seeing a bit of a changing of the guard in that division, right? In that AFC West, with the Chiefs kind of needing a little bit of a retool at this point, with a lot of their guys aging out. So, Chargers, who knows what you're going to get from them year to year? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
it's really the Broncos' division to lose for the next few years, I think. Anyway, yeah,
Well, I think the biggest telling sign to me of how good a team is how they follow up a boom year, right?
yeah,
So they finished in first. How do you match up against the first place schedule next year?
exactly,
Right. And I mean, I saw that with my Lions too. You go 15-2, and now you finish 9-8 the next year because
yeah.
you're playing all these first place
You
teams.
know you're going to be tested the next year, yeah.
And somehow finishing 9-8, you are last in your division. So now next year we're going to get this, you know, I shouldn't call it a cake schedule, but in theory it should be,
It is,
right? Obviously, we see teams excel every year that we don't expect. The Panthers,
yeah,
the Seahawks, those guys that are kind of in the mix here and there, but now they take that next step, right? So when you think even the Patriots last year, they were terrible, and now they're going to the Super Bowl, right?
right.
So it's one of those things. So I think if you're okay with it, we'll move on. But I think if you're a Broncos fan, you can't be upset about how this year went.
No, very solid year for Denver. Even more solid year for New England. They go from 4-13 last year to a Super Bowl appearance this year. So congrats. The New England Patriots are representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. Let's move on. Let's talk NFC Championship.
Right. Sometimes you just wish that the game that just happened was the actual Super Bowl. And unfortunately, that's just
Yeah.
not the way it works. But man, this Seahawks and Rams game matching up for the third time this year. Let's be real. Every single one of these games was an absolute banger that they played this year. And this one was no different. Back and forth slugfest, right down to the wire to decide the winner. Like literally, last play, Puka going out of bounds, not actually out of bounds, game over. Driving down the field, insane finish.
Probably the two best teams in the NFC. I'd argue they're the two best teams left in the NFL. So we knew we were going to get a banger out of this game. It did not disappoint. It was fantastic start to finish. Um, Yeah, and like fairly high scoring, 58 total points, 31-27, pretty much mimics how most of these games have gone between these two teams. But keep in mind, all of the scoring in this game happened in the first three quarters. There was nothing in the fourth. They
Yeah.
each team shared a couple of like very long, like 14. I think there was even like an 18 play drive at one point that resulted in 0 points for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
So like they ate up the entire fourth quarter on these long drives and ended up with nothing. But Seattle didn't have to do anything, right? They hung on. So.
Well, that's the way it goes. And I think it's no secret that JSN and Kenny Walker were leading the team for the Seahawks. And much like the week before, right? Like JSN, 10 catches, 153 yards and a touchdown. Kenny Walker, 19 rushes, 62 yards and a touchdown. So not quite the hat trick for Kenny Walker this week, but was still pretty impressive on the ground. And Cooper Kupp, man, gets his revenge. And he
Yeah.
only had 4 catches for 36 yards, but he scored the pivotal touchdown for the Seahawks to go up. And it was basically the deciding factor in the game. So Coop did it. It broke some hearts on your old team.
He did it, and he looked good doing it. But I will say the two front runners for Offensive Player of the Year, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Puka Nakua, were just that. Like they were fantastic. Jackson Smith and Jigba, you already gave his line, his 10 catches, 153 yards and a touchdown. He had 7 catches and 115 of those yards in the first half alone with one of those touchdowns.
Right.
He took over the entire first half. Like this guy was unreal. Front runner for OPOY for a very good reason. Like this guy is unstoppable. I've like his clean routes, catching balls. He knew defenders were going to be meeting him at the point of contact. Point of contact. So, uh, just like sharp routes. You know, coming back to the ball, making a great solid catch, and then knowing he's got to make a move and get some yards after catch and doing that just so clean. But then Puka, for his part, right, 9 catches, 165 yards. He had a touchdown himself. Just an unreal game from both these teams. Both quarterbacks went off.
Mm-hmm.
Such a fun fucking game to watch. Why can't every game be like this?
Right. And like you said, both quarterbacks went off. Like not only did Stafford throw for 374 yards and 3 passing touchdowns, he had a huge run for a conversion late in the game as
He
well
did.
on third down or yeah, it was third down and converted.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't see Stafford run too often, especially with his back the way it is now. But then even Darnold was like, yeah, you know what? You put up those numbers, I'm going to throw for 346 and 3 passing touchdowns too.
Yeah.
You're the MVP? I don't think so, pal. It's
Identical
Mr.
stat
Sam
lines.
Darnold.
Yeah.
And you want to know, actually, so somebody in my fantasy pool pointed this out, and I'm just going to pull this up real quick because I think it's kind of funny. Okay. So Sam Darnold has a bit of a legend of a grandfather.
Okay.
The guy's name is Dick Hammer.
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah,
He was
yeah.
a firefighter, an actor, which the genre of movies might still be undeterminable.
I
He
think I
was
could probably hazard a pretty educated guess at what type of movies you would do with that name, but
right. Original Marlboro Man from the posters, an Olympian,
what?
and a USC basketball player.
Those are some huge shoes to fill. Like, how do you live up to that? God damn. Dick Hammer, what a legend.
Mr. Dick Ham, everybody.
What a
Sam Darnold's
legend.
grandfather,
That's
right?
wild.
So who knows? Maybe there's going to be another ledger on that long laundry list of accomplishments. Grandson, Super Bowl champion.
huge name to live up to. I don't know how you do it, but he's he's certainly putting in a good effort to do that. This is,
Right?
I mean, if he goes and wins the Super Bowl now, you could probably put him in that conversation. But I don't know, man. Dick Hammer.
Dick
No one's ever
Hammer.
going to have a name that cool.
No. I mean, why even bother at this
What?
point?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why even give people names?
So, so aside from the fact that Sam Darnold's grandfather did porn back in the day, uh, yeah. I mean, anything else from this game you want to?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else from this game you took away? Anything else caught your eye you wanted to mention before we kind of bid farewell to the Rams?
I think it's just a shame that either of those two teams had to go home after
Yeah.
this one, right? It's
Yeah.
one of those things that, yeah, that probably was the Super Bowl, and maybe we're not going to get treated to something that great, like you kind of alluded to already. But I think what was interesting to me about the Rams, like I was on the record saying I thought they were the best team in football, like well balanced. You always think about Kyron, right? And Kyron really didn't do much in this game and pretty equally shared with Corum, like it has been throughout the whole playoffs. So
Yeah.
interesting to see what the Rams do um, going forward. And, you know, just like we kind of talked about what's next for the Broncos, it's like, okay, well, what's next for the Rams? You've got Kyron that's making all this money. Corum's still on a rookie deal. He is by far the better power runner and wasn't really known for his hands in college, but in these playoffs, he's been receiving passes left, right, and center from Stafford and doing great things with it.
Yeah.
So is it time that Corum is kind of taking over as the lead back, or are we still going to kind of see this like 1-2 punch for them?
Well, I think any smart team has a solid one-two punch. You need that depth with the fact that injuries are so rampant in the NFL, especially with running backs, like their knees are so, they could go at any time. So it's smart to try and hang on to a solid one-two punch. With that said, you're gonna have to pay Kyron at some point, whereas
Mm-hmm.
Corum, I think, still has a couple years left on his rookie deal. So I could see if felt you needed to spend money elsewhere, then maybe you move on from Kyron. But they'd be smart to lock up both for a little bit, as long as they can anyway. But I think the question really is, what's Matt Stafford going to do? Is he going to be back? Is he going to retire? That is going to change the entire outlook of the Rams' next however long, right? Their future, their indeterminate
Oh, yeah.
future at this point hinges on whether or not they need to move on at quarterback or if they're going to try and run it back. Because honestly, last year when the Eagles won, I think the Rams were the second best team in the league by season's end, and I've said it on here before. So I was really looking for them to make it to the Super Bowl this year. They got close, but they're still that team. So with Stafford at the helm, if he's healthy, I don't know that they need to do much, right? You say what's next
No.
for them. They're still there.
Yeah,
Like we talked about Denver, they probably don't need to do too much to stay in the conversation.
I agree. And I think you're right. The biggest question mark and what's going to lay the pieces out for the Rams is what that decision for Matthew Stafford's going to be. And
Yeah.
McVay's already come out saying he doesn't need surgery for his back, so that's a positive. You just wonder how long is Matthew going to take to make that decision, right? And leave them hanging. Now, luckily for them, they do have Garoppolo as their backup, so it's not like you don't have anybody that has no experience to step in, at least for a bridge year until you figure something out, right? If Stafford does have to take some time or just calls it a day, right?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, he is by far the biggest question mark of what the Rams are going to do in the offseason. Other thing I would say is maybe a secondary upgrade. They've got some growing pieces there, but I think they don't have like a legitimate threat at safety, which they could probably use somebody roaming back there a little bit more. So you got to love their defensive line. Probably their O line needs a little bit of work too. I think they were pretty banged up there, but
Yeah.
they could use a little bit of help for Stafford because he got sacked quite a bit for a guy that's broken. So you definitely don't want to see that.
No.
Well, I think all in all, I mean, I think if you're a Rams player fan, you're a little bit disappointed. I think you had some pretty high aspirations for the Super Bowl, especially with the level that Stafford was playing and keeping him healthy all year.
It was a Super
But
Bowl or
in the
bust
end,
year for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So a little bit of retooling, you'll be fine. Don't worry.
Absolutely. So we'll see the Rams next year, I'm sure, in the playoffs. And as it stands right now, buddy, we got Patriots, we got Seahawks, Super Bowl 60. Let's
Game on, baby.
let's talk about it. So here we go, Santa Clara. Unfortunately, the Niners don't get to host it at home. It will be their division rival Seahawks coming in to try and win it here with Sammy Darnold at the helm, facing Drake May, the upstart QB with the the new look Patriots, post Tom Brady era Patriots coming in, and all of a sudden they're relevant again here now. So what are we looking for? What's What are we gonna see here?
Well, I think it's definitely one of those tales of I don't really expect it to be a high scoring game. We've got two really good defenses.
Yeah.
Some people are going to say it's boring. Maybe it will be, right? I think you're going to see one of those games that we've seen kind of in the past where the first half is all about figuring each other out, and then the second half is going to kind of blow open a little bit.
Yep.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like both teams in like the 20 to 30 point range, and winning kind of a close game, just
Okay.
going back and forth, and maybe even a defensive takeaway that's going to be the difference in this one. Just with the two teams that are fairly strong defensively. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see both teams have a good run game. Where I think the Patriots might have a bigger edge is that they're a little bit better at stopping the run than the Seahawks, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So if they can shut down Kenny Walker and force Darnold to throw, maybe you can get to him that way. So
I think even if they force Darnold to throw, though, like I'm kind of the opposite notion. I think this is going to be a blowout. I don't think it's really going to be particularly close. I think it'll be like last year when the Eagles dismantled the Chiefs. Yes, I'm going to toss them
no.
to the
Oh
Eagles.
my God,
Another
again.
Eagles shouted in there.
God
But
damn.
I think it's going to be the same. I think Sammy D has looked really good. Um, if I mean, if Drake May is going to show up with that kind of stat line against the Denver defense, he's I can't see him looking better against the Seattle defense. This team's an absolute fucking tank, absolute wagon. The defense is better than any other defense in the league at this point, I'm going to say. And Seattle's offense, much better than Denver's with Jarrett Stidham at the helm, even with Bo Nix at the helm. So
Right.
I really think it's going to be a blowout. Seattle's way too good this year. But it remains to be seen. Can Sammy Darnold show up on the biggest stage, right? We have yet to see. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. Obviously, Drake
Mm-hmm.
May's never been here before either. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, this is like a guy who, like Sam Darnold, I mean, kind of thought of as like a career backup for a long time, and then has had a couple of really fortunate years the last couple of years. One last year, obviously in Mini, and then this year even better in Seattle. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's gonna be a blowout.
Well, and that's okay. I mean, it's fine to think that, right? I can see why you think that because yeah, Seattle is pretty scary. And yeah, they've had to play, in my opinion, a lot tougher competition. But until you get smacked in the mouth, you never really know, right? And all it takes is two big plays early
Yeah,
by the Patriots to get in Darnold's head, and we
couple of
know
bad turnovers. Yeah,
he's got a habit of seeing some ghosts out there, right?
yeah,
So again, we don't know what we're going to get from either quarterback. I think just like any other game, that they're going to have those nerves going in, and once they get slinging the ball around after those first two plays, they're going to
yeah.
settle down. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see kind of a stuck in the mud game for at least the first quarter, probably even bleed into the second a bit, and then who knows? Maybe Shaheed takes somebody by surprise at the beginning of the game too and returns one, but you never know.
Well, I'm not sure this is the Patriots' year. I mean, anything can happen, right? You get a key turnover or something, or just a really big play at an inopportune time for Seattle or something. Anything can happen, but
Hmm.
we're really gonna have to see Drake May return to regular season form, I think, if New England has a
Hmm.
chance. Like I said, they've benefited from an extremely cake schedule
Yep.
this year. Um, Drake May has looked like shit. Like he looked pretty good all season. He's looked like shit in the playoffs. He didn't
Hmm.
have to do anything against the Chargers. The Chargers put up 3 points.
Yeah.
He didn't really have to be great against the Texans. Stroud turned the ball over like 14 times. So, like, yeah, they put up 28 points, but that was because they were gifted some real good field position a lot of,
Yep.
many times. So
Hmm.
he didn't have to be great against the Texans. He obviously did nothing against the Broncos and still won. So, am I thinking we're going to see a really good Drake May against the best defense he's faced so far in the playoffs? No, but is it possible? Of course. So, yeah,
But on the flip side, it's scary for the Seahawks though to know that Drake May has played terrible these whole playoffs and still made it this far.
that's a good
Like, what
point.
if he has that one good game and it's
Yeah.
against you?
Yeah, that's a good point, right? He hasn't had to be good, and they still keep winning. So if he is good, look the fuck out.
Right?
But I'm thinking, like, I worry about the Patriots' defense. I worry about them being able to contain, like we said, Sammy Darnold has gone off quite a bit, quite a few times this year because he's got guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Can they contain him? Can they contain Kenneth Walker, who's been unbelievable the last half of the year and kind of into the playoffs, right? So
Right.
I don't know that the
What
Patriots' defense is going to be able to keep up.
what I think that I hate about this narrative though is that it's okay. Well, Sam Darnold can never win the big game. He's never been that guy, right?
Right.
And if he loses this game, all those talks keep continuing, even though he's good enough to get them there, right? Obviously, probably riding Seattle's defense a little bit too, but their offense has been one of the tops in the league. Then on the flip side, you got Drake May going there. It's his first playoffs, right? Now what happens? He doesn't win this game. Oh, Drake May's not that guy. Like all these things are gonna get so overblown, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, no, just like settle down. Like these things, it's a process sometimes.
Yeah.
And like I said, sometimes you have to get there and get slapped in the mouth a little bit to realize who you are or who you aren't, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think I just hope it is a competitive game. I want
Yeah.
it to be split somewhere down the middle, be a coin flip, because really I don't fully care about either one of these teams. I
Yeah.
do
You
kind
just
of
don't
have a
want to watch a
soft spot.
blowout. Yeah.
Right. I do have a soft spot for the Seahawks a little bit, but in the same breath, it's like, yeah, you know what? It'd be cool if they won. I'm just a little salty, that it's not the Lions always. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
it's
Of
the way
course.
it goes.
Um, I think a lot of it's going to come down to obviously execution on the field. Weather shouldn't factor in too much unless it's pouring rain all game. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of this is going to come down to coaching too. Like which head coach
Hmm.
is going to be more prepared for the moment. I think the Patriots, like Vrabel, has kind of created a hungry team here. I think they've run into some issues. They have some injuries and they have some problems. Their O line is getting destroyed right now. Swiss cheese. May's been sacked like 15 times in the
Hmm.
playoffs alone so far. So I think you're going to have to adjust as a coach and drop some plays where you've got maybe you've got some guards pulling on separate plays to give May an extra second of protection and just kind of keep him a little bit safer so he has time to execute the plays that he's going to need to make because you're not going to be able to rely on Travion Henderson or Ramondre Stevenson all game.
Like you said, it might come down to coaching, right? And I wonder if Mike McDonald has actually, I was trying to look it up, but I couldn't find it real quick. But if he's actually won anything, um, on this big of a stage, right? And when you think about Vrabel, yeah, he's doesn't have necessarily the relative coaching experience to go deep into the playoffs, although he did bring Tennessee there. But it's like he won it as a player, so he's been to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
He knows what this moment means, right? So
100%. Yeah.
there's something about rallying that team, and I think he's got a little extra motivation to be the first player or first coach to win the Super Bowl as a player and a coach for the same team.
Would he be the first, really?
He would be the first, yeah.
First player who becomes head coach and wins it as both. Oh, okay. Wow. Cool.
Well, for the same team.
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So,
that's easy enough narrative for me. I'm pulling for Seattle now for sure. Um, but yeah, McDonald's done a great job. That offense, we can talk about it at length, how many pieces they have, but I think he's done a really great job of assembling a fucking suffocating defense as well. So,
yeah,
so yeah, I think the who's going to outcoach who, right? That's going to be a big
yeah.
storyline as well. But it's going to be a great game. I mean, I hope it's a great game. I think it's going to be a blowout, but it should be entertaining nonetheless. Even if it is a blowout, as long as it's Seattle doing it, I'm kind of okay with that.
Well, and seeing that wasn't to take anything away from Mike McDonald, because I don't think you necessarily have to be there or have been there to do a good job of
Right.
coaching and rallying this team, right? I just think there's something to be said about Vrabel already being in that moment to kind of coach these players and what you can expect. Because let's be real, there's a big delay in there with the halftime show, all the other media stuff that's going on as well, right? So it's one of these things. Don't let the moment get too big for you, and who knows? Maybe we see an upset.
Maybe. All right. So we'll look forward to that. And we're going to break this down huge next week when we talk about the aftermath of the Super Bowl and just some, end of season things like kind of go over a few awesome storylines from the season or crazy things that happen or really, huge injuries or whatever. We'll break
Mhm.
it all down, kind of talk about maybe what we're going to be looking forward to going into the off season a little bit and into next year. But for now, I think that'll wrap our championship weekend breakdown and Super Bowl preview. What else
Mhm.
do we want to talk about here before we wrap up?
You know what? I kind of want to do bold predictions, but I want to do something new called most likely to. And this is for
Okay.
next year, right? So I want to know on from your side of things, who's most likely to be the MVP next year?
Uh, well, I think let's just be a homer about it. I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts will get his first MVP.
That's fair. I'm going to go Homer too. I'm going to go Goff. He's getting a new coordinator. I think it's going to do leaps and bounds. They have a first or last place schedule, so
Yeah.
got a real chance to light up some teams here. Jared Goff, this is your time, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't let it down.
Absolutely. He's definitely going to be in the running. I think Jalen Hurts is getting a new coordinator as well. I've only heard good things. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay,
You
well,
can
let's keep this
polish a
going, man.
turd, but it's still a turd, buddy. And speaking of turds, who's most likely to go from terrible to good team wise?
This is going to backfire. I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals. I was on that train last year when they were terrible the year previous. I thought for sure they're going to turn the corner this year. I thought for sure 10 plus wins. And then they shat the bed completely. So I really think that this can be a good team, just in a bad situation. New head coach is going to change things there. I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be good next year. What do you think?
Cardinals.
Yeah.
You're going to hate to hear this.
Okay.
They got a new head coach. They've got
Ah.
weapons everywhere, and two of the biggest weapons are coming back from injury.
Yeah.
The New York Football Giants.
Neighbors and
Go from
Scadaboo coming
terrible
back
to
is
good.
huge for them. Yeah.
Neighbors and Scadaboo, not to mention who else they're going to draft. I'm sure they're going to draft an O-lineman of some sort.
Yeah.
Harbaugh's already come out and said everything we are going to do is to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So
Bring it.
I liked, even before he got hired there, I was talking to our buddy Hammond, and Hammond's a big Titans fan. And I said, I think Harbaugh is going to the Giants. I said, they've got the most sexy situation. They got a young quarterback that's kind of proven he can do it. He's got some good weapons coming back. The defense is fairly strong. It'll be interesting to see what the Giants do. And he's like, nah, Harbaugh's coming to the Titans. I said, I don't think so, but here we are. Harbaugh to the Giants like 3 days later, and I think they're going to go from terrible to good. How about you?
I could see it. I could see it. Yeah. So I don't like it, but I could see it. All right. Well, then why don't we just go, man, to from good to terrible? Who was good this year, you think, is going to be just terrible next year and miss the playoffs?
Well, I might as well stay in the NFC East, and I'm going to say your Philadelphia Eagles.
Here we go.
And I mean, I would probably say that regardless, even if I thought it or not. But I just think, okay, let's look at this year as a whole, right? You had a new coordinator once again. Next year, you're getting a whole new coordinator once again on the offensive side of the ball. You have a defensive coordinator that they're basically begging to stay for one more year. He's like, I'm done. I'm kind of done. And you're like, but one more year? Just one?
Talked him out of retirement. Yep.
And then, I just think about some of the drama that was surrounding the team by the end of AJ Brown. So is he gone next year? Saquon kind of took a step back. Is that his fault or is that the offensive line? So I think there's some things that kind of have to be worked out. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of like that. I'm not saying like you guys, it's like a blow up year, right? Where you got to get rid of everybody, start retool everything. But I could see you guys potentially missing the playoffs next year and then just trying to figure stuff out from there.
I mean, fair points. I'll just say, Eagles
You don't agree with
are.
my take, I take it.
We're going to be looking at the third year in a row of NFC East champions, Eagles there. So that's all I'm going to say. But good to terrible. I think there's going to be some people that.
Are you going to say it?
No, I was going to say maybe I'll face some backlash for this next week when we have some Bills fans on. But I think the Buffalo Bills are going to miss the playoffs next year. I think I think their window might be closing.
That's who I was alluding to. I didn't think you were going to say Lions because they were already terrible this year.
Okay, yeah. Well, they weren't terrible, but they weren't good either. But yeah, no, the Buffalo Bills I think will miss. I think Josh Allen has carried this team for a very long time. At some point, this guy's going to get injured. At some point, this guy's going to regress, maybe a little bit. Unless Buffalo does some heavy lifting in the offseason they've got a bunch of holes, especially on offense. Josh Allen doesn't have anyone to throw to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he does, but could use a number one. He could use a solid number two as well. That team is a solid number two, I think, going into next year.
Oh, well, you know what? I really debated putting them over the Eagles, so we're kind of on the same wavelength there.
Okay.
And I've seen enough from them over the last few years to know that they're just not quite good enough, right? They are one of these like regular season Ferraris, right?
Yeah.
And can do enough to get in there. But this was your prime opportunity this year, and you proved that you're just not going to escape not having the weapons like everybody else
Yeah.
does,
And they
right?
keep getting kind of upset by, whether it's a bad call or an unfortunate call, whether it's the right call or not, always seems to kind of go against them. Or, for whatever reason, Josh Allen finds a way to lose when it gets to, and,
Yeah,
and you can't even really blame him because he's good in most of these games. It's the rest of the team around him. And I really feel like you can only carry a team for so long. So yeah, you're right.
right. But bad calls are not like
Yeah.
you
Don't be
turn
in
the
that
ball.
position for a bad call to dictate the outcome of the game, right?
Yeah,
If you're that good, you'll be far enough ahead that,
but
yeah.
not only that, like the turnovers, like Allen had the 5 turnovers, and even outside of this game, right? It's always turnovers that cost them.
Yeah.
Drops from guys that should not drop the ball when they're wide open. Sometimes Allen overthrows the guy because I think it was back in the day when Allen first came in. Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football always called him Sugar Rush Josh Allen because he just like get out of the pocket, you'd be like, "What?" And then just throw it up and throw an interception.
Yeah.
Right. So like sometimes you see that come out of him because he has to do so much. Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like if they don't go out and draft like 3 wide receivers and an offensive lineman, they're not serious about this year.
No, they got problems on defense too, and that
Yeah.
obviously Josh Allen can't fix at all. So, yeah.
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 Well, most of their
Yep.
problems on defense are just them aging and banged up.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. Like, there's definitely holes everywhere, and it'll be interesting to see how this team retools. And I think as long as you have Josh Allen, you're going to attract free agents, right? It's just
Yep.
willing to spend the money on the quality free agents, right? And yeah, it's nice that you got like 4 different guys that you can throw a ball to, but you don't have a serious threat that, like, yeah, you have Shakir, but I mean, he's not fantastic. He's like
No.
a B or C tier receiver, you
100%.
know?
Yeah.
So you got to get it right. And we'd be remiss to not have like a bold take for next year without doing most likely to win the Super Bowl next
Okay.
year. And I'm just going to throw it out there. It's these guys on the hat.
Ride
How do
that
you,
cake schedule all the way to it. Yeah.
hey man, if the Patriots can do it, why can't the Lions?
True
You know what I
enough.
mean? Like, come on, you've got way more weapons. Like, if you were to match up the Lions and the Patriots right now, most people would probably favor the Lions. And that's not even me being cocky about it. If you just look at apples to apples on both sides of the ball,
Yeah.
most people would probably say it's the Lions. So it's like, okay, well, if you can just put them in this position where they can dominate some of these weaker teams, just have the confidence riding high, I don't see why they can't, especially if they can stay healthy. Go get yourself a ship, boys.
That's 100% what I was going to say. It's all going to hinge on whether or not they can stay healthy because the schedule is easy enough for them to dominate. They got to stay healthy, but I wouldn't even, I'm not even mad about that. Like that's a solid pick that I would say that they got to be a front runner for sure. Do you have an AFC team that you think if you had to pick an AFC team? Because I'll pick one
If
from each as well.
if they can figure it out and get CJ's head straight, Texans. That defense is so scary, man. Like if it wasn't for CJ in that game, they probably would have they would have smoked the Patriots.
Yeah, CJ could stop giving the ball back. I know he's generous, but gotta not be
Mm-hmm.
that generous.
What a
So
nice guy. What a nice guy.
it's a solid pick. Texans are a good team for sure. I'm gonna go for out of the AFC. I gotta go with my Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they took a
Ooh.
huge step this year. I still think they're very good. I really think had they been able to get through Buffalo in the wild card round, it would be them in the Super Bowl this year. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with Jacksonville. Out of the NFC, I want to say my Eagles. Um,
Who's the
Jalen
real pick
Hurts.
though?
Jalen Hurts. Yeah, what's the real pick? Jalen Hurts over the last 4 years has gone to the Super Bowl, then gone to the Pro Bowl, then won a Super Bowl, then gone to the Pro Bowl. So if the pattern continues, he should be in the Super Bowl again next year. But I don't know. I don't know. Obviously I want the Eagles there. I don't know that they're there. So from the NFC, I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers.
Oh shit.
Carolina Panthers
Okay,
will
well
win the
there's
Super
a
Bowl. It's the NFC.
swing if I've
Hell
ever
yeah.
seen one.
Bold take, but I'm here for it.
Sure. Well, speaking of bold takes, if you're familiar with the show, we've been doing locks and Brooksee took the lead on me on the locks after being up on him huge. Well, we finished with a tie, buddy. 17-4. Dude, that's a hell of a record
Pretty
for the full
respectable.
season, including playoffs.
For us to both go 17-4, dude, that's respectable as hell.
You are also pretty respectable on your dogs. Doubling up on your score, 14-7.
I'm gonna take a
I,
14-7 record. That's so hard to pick that for dogs. That's wild.
well,
I'm pretty
not when
proud of
you're picking like the one seed as an underdog somehow. But
that. Play by the rules.
I I made it close. At one point, I thought I was going to get up to 500, and
Yeah.
then I fell to 9 and 12. But the way I started, like one and whatever, I'll take the nine on that side of the score sheet. But obviously, kind of hard to do locks and dogs for the Super Bowl. There's
Yeah.
only two teams left, and I think we're both kind of leaning in the same direction that the Seahawks are going to win. I'm a little bit more like 60-40, whereas I think you're more like 80-20 or maybe even 90-10 the other way for the Seahawks. So
Yeah.
I think the only real fair way to settle our lock record for the year
Yep.
and what fitting way with the Super Bowl. How about we do like what do you think's fair? Like total points?
Yeah, I think let's guess at total points and whoever's closest. No Price is Right rule. Like if you guess a couple over, you're still the closest because you like,
Oh,
come on.
I prices righted you last year. You don't want me to
Yeah,
do it again?
it's so shitty.
Oh, that was so
It's
epic.
so underhanded and just gross. So you're not
Just
doing it this year.
just for your reaction alone, it was so priceless.
It's like,
Okay.
come on, man. Like if we pick like say if there's like 60 points scored in the game and I pick 62 and you pick 45, sure
Yeah.
you're under Price is Right rules, but are you really you're so much not you're so much farther away from the total score that come on. That's so
Right.
low. I'm not letting you have it this year.
No worries. And I promise I won't do it this year, but I think it's only fair.
Okay.
You had the better dog record.
Yep.
You go first.
Harrison, get these records up on the screen. Show the people. I won the Locks and Dogs. I predicted 3 of 8 division winners. I trumped you this year in predictions, so it would be only
Did you though?
fitting. It would be only you had a couple more as far as like the preseason predictions as well, but I think it would be only fitting if I won the tiebreaker here as well to win the Locks record, in addition to the Dogs and a couple other things. So
Less talky, more picky. Let's go.
let's go with Super Bowl. You know what? I said it. I'm going to say it again. Super Bowl 60. I think there's going to be 60 points scored. What do you think?
I did say I expect both teams to be in the 20 to 30 point range. You took 60. Let's go 45. 21-24.
Okay. Okay. So we got a nice little 15-point gap there to play with. We'll see how that plays out. But that will decide the locks winner for the year. I'm kind of excited to see how that one plays out, my dude.
Absolutely. And one thing's for sure, we've had a great year of football. It's hard to complain, even though both of our teams aren't there. Uh, Obviously, a shitty feeling, but in the end, there's 31 teams that got to lose, right? And
Yep.
chances are you're going to be one of them. Best of luck to the Seahawks. Best of luck to the Patriots. Hopefully, get a little slobber knocker on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, man.
One thing's for sure, buddy. We're going to be hanging out, having a good time,
Woo!
as per usual.
It's tradition at this point for you and I to watch Super Bowl together. We've been doing it for what, close to 15 years now. So this
At
year will be
least.
no different. We're watching it from the frigid, snow-covered Great White North up here in Canada together. Wish I was still on a cruise ship down
Right?
in in tropical weather, but what are we gonna do? We're gonna enjoy the game. We're gonna have a great time, and we'll be back to talk with the Bravonians next week to break this whole thing down.
Absolutely. Well, whoever you cheer for, best of luck, and we will see you next week. I'm Kelvo. That's Brooksee. Peace out.
See you later.